Hi guys, I hope everyone has had a better week than I did. I kind of have been sick for the last couple days, and I just didn't feel good. I probably, my guess is I have IBS and I had a flare, so it was not a good couple days. And I ended up having to help my mother today, so I wasn't home, and but I hate not doing a video. So here it is, like whatever time it is, 11 o'clock at night or something, and I'm finally getting to a video. But I have been wanting to do a thrift book haul because I got some great witchy books. And a couple that are not witchy, but I think are relevant. Anyways. So I'm going to start with that, and then I have a couple other things to show you, and I'll explain that then. I'm going to start with, I did get a couple great kids books, and if you watch my channel, you know I'm trying to build up my grandkid shelves with pagan or pagan-friendly kid books. So, you know, books that talk about nature, that talk about how people celebrate. This is one of those books, and there's a couple in this series, and I think this is the second one in the series that I have. This is called We Gather Together, Celebrating the Harvest Season, and this is by Wendy Pfeffer, P-F-E-F-F-E-R, illustrated by Linda Black. And it's just such a cute book. It's about how different people through the ages have celebrated the harvest, and from different areas of the world. And it's got some great colors in it. So this is the perfect time to bring out this book because it's all about the harvest season. It talks about the equinox, the autumn equinox, and the spring equinox, and then the solstices. And it talks about like different different places. Like, so it talks about 300,000 years ago, cave dwellers, how they celebrated the harvest. And then it goes to Syria and Turkey about 10,000 years ago, and how they celebrated the harvest. And then, you know, it goes through different time periods, Jewish family harvest celebrations. So I really enjoy it. It's great color, and then you know, towards the back it gets a little bit more into equinox facts. And there's even a experiment to prove that the sun rises due east in both equinoxes. So it like has a little experiment for the children to do to prove that the sun is actually in due east on both the equinoxes. And so it's really an interesting book. It's a good knowledge-based book for kids. I really enjoy this series a lot. So I'm glad to add that to my grandkids shelf collection. The next one is an old book that that I really was excited about, the Book of Giant Stories. And there's some books that I just want to have them in my collection. This is by David Harrison, illustrated by Philippe Fox. So there's several different stories in here. And they're all really innovative and books that I'm excited about, or stories that I'm excited about. You know, they talk about this sweet little kid who, you know, has chicken pox, and the giant helps him. Look at, they have witches in it. So I had read, there's another book, it must be, that David Harrison wrote that I have or I had read. And I really, look at the bumblebee, really wanted to add some of his books to my collection. This is, let me see when this was printed. I think 1972. So this is from the year I was born. And I'm glad to add that to my collection too. I'm going to save that for last because I want to talk a little bit about that. The next one is called Pagans and Christians, The Personal Spiritual Experience. And this is by Gus D. Zaraga, who is a doctor, has a doctorate in political theory, he does. So this is a book that I really wanted. It's funny, when I did my video on Wild Moon Woman and how she had converted to Christianity and stuff, there was so many videos about it that I thought, you know, in this community we really need to learn how to tell Christians about our religion in a non-confrontational way, which is not always easy because most of us have come to the pagan religion because of confrontations that we've gotten into with Christians or the Christian faith or so-called Christians. And so we need some help maybe in doing that. And that's what this book is for. Let me read the back. Oh, you know what? I have my glasses so I don't have to kill myself. Hold on. All right. So it says, promoting understanding and reconciliation between sister faiths. Pagans and Christians is a brilliant and provocative yet gentle and caring defense of paganism in the face of those forces, principally Christianity, that have historically misunderstood and misinterpreted it, often with horrific and murderous consequences. But more to the point, this wonderful book is a rich dialogue between the pagan and the Christian approaches to the sacred, pointing out quite rightly, I believe, that neither has the single correct approach to the divine, but that both can be and are legitimate expressions of that ever-present spirit, which is the fountain of all genuine devotion, release, harmony, and fulfillment. Written in a popular language for both pagans and Christians, this book is highly recommended for all spiritual seekers or those who would find the divine in the very midst of the here and now, present as that open secret to which the world has always aspired. And the reviews that I read from this book, I read reviews from Christians and from pagans alike, who said that the way that they have explained the pagan faith in here makes it less confrontational. It makes it more easily understood by Christians. So I thought that would be very interesting and something that I definitely want to have in my arsenal. You know, when I am talking to people about my faith, I want to be able to talk to them so they understand instead of just confront them, you know, which is sometimes, let's face it, sometimes you feel the need to do that, and that's okay. But I don't want to just have a confrontation. I want the other person to have a conversation with me about it and to understand a little bit where I'm coming from. And so hopefully some of the ways to approach the subject I can learn better from reading this book. So I definitely thought that was a good one. I got the Tarot Spells book by Janina Renee, which most people have seen it with a different cover. See? Mercury is killing me still, guys. I'm trying so hard not to speak like a moron, but I have to tell you, I've had such a hard time with this Mercury retrograde. I'll be really glad when this is all over, because this one is kicking my ass. The cover, most people have seen it in a different cover. So this my guess is it's an older version. So this is, it says create, let me take a sip before I start. Create your success with tarot. Tarot Spells is a beautifully simple book of creative and enjoyable rites which you can enhance your daily life. That sentence doesn't make sense. Tarot Spells is a beautifully simple book of creative and enjoyable rites which can enhance your daily life. Thank you. I knew I was reading it wrong. Mercury. With no more than a pack of tarot cards, you can use the meditations, good luck with Mercury, visualizations, and affirmations included in this volume to gain greater control and understanding of personal relationships, career, and money concerns, major life events, and your own emotional frame of mind. No expertise, study, or technical skill is involved, merely an open mind, a willingness to learn, and a desire to improve your surroundings, your circumstances, and your fortunes. And I hope if any of you are first-time watchers, you will go back and look at some of my other videos to see that I am able to read aloud better than what I've just done. I can't even believe that Mercury can do that to a person, but I'm really like a stroke victim. This book looked really good. I'm really excited to kind of look through it. It has, in the contents here, so it has Tarot in the New Age, background, tarot decks, tarot applications, tarot magic, how tarot magic works, tarot spells are easy, and then the actual spells, they break up into categories. So action spells, addiction spells, animal spells, artistic and creative concerns, beauty, health, and fitness. Ooh, for a woman, for help in working towards beauty, health, and fitness. I'll be doing that one first. Business, change, children, competition, so it's in alphabetical. Courage, decisions, divorce, dreams, emotions, enemies, families, farms, and gardens. How cool is that? Friends, health and healing, houses and homes, jobs and job hunting. Knowledge, legal undertakings, love and romance, luck, money, motivation, obstacles, protection, psychism, thank you, quarrels, self-improvement, stress, and theft. And then there's several appendices. Choosing a significator, preparations for spells and rituals, accessories for spells, candles, crystals, and gemstones, color symbolism, and the conclusion. It is... Besides the like advertisements in the back, which Llewellyn has always kind of had, it is 258 pages, and you know, really a book that I think will be interesting to go through and learn some of that. So yay, another good one. So if you were watching any of my Beginner Witch series, one of the books that I said that I go to very often, it's one of my first books I go to, is the Herbal Compendium, and that is by Paul Barrel, and he has several books. So I want to get all of his in my library if I can help it. And the next one that I have gotten is called A Wiccan Bardo. Even though I'm not Wiccan, I'm eclectic pagan. I take what I believe from different sects of the pagan faith. And I take what works for me, and I don't take what doesn't work for me. So the back says, Wiccan Bardo, a far-ranging work of great beauty and insight. This unique book brings together previously unpublished Wiccan material from the tradition of Lothlorien, which is a kind of another sect off of Wicca. A Wiccan Bardo includes the enchanting ritual of Lothlorien, describes the establishment of communion with the universe, and also presents a section of Wiccan ethics, featuring the admonition and the ritual of dedication. Also featured is a detailed overview of the initiatory process, so being initiated into the sect of Wicca, which, again, some of those initiation rites are absolutely beautiful, and I had my own initiation experience, and it wasn't necessarily an initiation into the part of paganism that I wanted to focus my stuff on, but that initiation to this day means a lot to me, because it was the first time that other pagans kind of stood before me and said, you know, we accept you into this, and, you know, I hope that you will grow with me, and I'm still friends with them today. So to me, that's an important thing, the initiation, because it's like you're finally standing up and saying, this is what I believe. And even if you're a solitary practitioner, to do that for yourself is a signal to the universe that I'm stepping into my truth. This is what I believe in. This is what I want to move forward with. And it's a very powerful experience that I recommend if you are ready to do that step, that you do that. And if you want, I will talk more about that in a separate video. In fact, I think that would be a very good idea to do that as part of the Beginner Witch series. So I will do that. Drink. Okay. Also featured is a detailed overview of the initiatory process, the nature of magical empowerment and occult path workings, and a description of astral temples and spiritual energy forms. The book concludes with the exquisite ritual for the dead, which is performed for 7 consecutive days, which that is something I really want to study. It's a very powerful ritual for the dead. Like the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, is intended to provide a transformative experience for those who have recently departed from the earth plane. So the Reverend Paul Barrel, D.D., founded the Rowan Tree Church and Mystery School in Minneapolis. Profoundly influenced by Tibetan Buddhism, he is actively engaged in training clergy in the Wiccan tradition of Lothlorien, thus helping to bridge East and West. He has been conducting workshops and seminars and appearing on radio and television for many years. He is also author of the acclaimed Master Book of Herbalism. How awesome would that book be? I mean, I love just the Herbal Compendium, so the Master Book must be incredible. So, again, very, very interesting book that I am anxious to read into. This one was published in 1989, reprinted in 1994. So, it seems, you know, like a, well, it's funny. 1994 to me is not that long ago, but I'm thinking of, you know, my children who are grown people now. So weird. So just, I'm very glad to have this in my reference library, and I'm looking forward to looking into it, especially the ritual for the dead. I have thought a lot about what I want my ritual to be when I leave this plane of earth, and it's something that I have to think about, especially that most of my family is not pagan. So it's something that I need to kind of plan for ahead of time if that's what I want when I leave. And it's something that I have to think about incorporating some of their beliefs too, I think, because it's really for them. In my eyes, my path will have already moved on by that point. So their beliefs need to be incorporated into that so they are able to feel peace with my passing on to a new adventure. And it will be more important to them. At the same time, I want to show that my path has been a wonderful one that I have really loved, and I want to show them the beauty of what my path can look like too. So I have to find a way to balance that. Alright, so the last 2 books I'm going to talk about are by an author named Jenny Lawson. I got 2 of her books. I have 1 more to get still. Furiously Happy is the book that I'm starting with, even though this is technically her latest book that she came out with, I believe, last year. And You Are Here is kind of a book, but it's also kind of a coloring book, and there's a lot of interesting information in there, but it's not a traditional book. So let me explain. Jenny Lawson is a woman who has several types of mental illness. One of them, she has ADD like I do, but she also has severe depression, clinical depression disorder, and she has some other things mixed in with that, some OCD stuff, some other mental illnesses mixed in with that, and she is a best-selling author and an incredibly hilariously funny woman. She has learned how to, I think, first of all, part of the point of this book in particular, and I until I start reading the first book that she made, I believe the first book is kind of her history and how she grew up, and you know, she now is in this state of being where she is. And this book is kind of the continuation of that and tells a little bit about her history, but, you know, kind of tells how she deals with everyday life. And to me, as a person who also suffers from some forms of mental illness, I think, I have not really, I was diagnosed at some point with some forms of depression. I do have ADD. I have a secret suspicion that I probably am bipolar, but it's like I just ignore it, and I don't want to have a label like that on me, even though I'm sure if I did that, it could help, and medication could help and all that. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. However, I relate so much to this book, and it makes me laugh hysterically laugh. This woman is amazing. Part of Furiously Happy, but let me just get down to it. Furiously Happy is a book that to me really describes how she has chosen to live her life. And she still goes through horrible bouts of depression where she is in bed for a week and cannot do anything. But what she talks about is when she's not going through that downturn of depression, she has decided to live her life furiously happy, in a way that when she is in bed and severely depressed, she doesn't lose hope completely, because she lives the rest of her life in a way that she has something to hold on to. And it's crazy. Some of it is crazy. This little thing on this raccoon thing on the, it's a great cover, right? That is an actual thing. That is a taxidermied raccoon that she owns that is in that spot. And she does things like she takes this taxidermied raccoon, and her husband will be on a business call, like Skyping on a business call, and she will sneak up with the raccoon, who she's named Rory, and bring the raccoon up over his shoulder while he's on a business call, which is like, oh my gosh, she's kind of insane. Well, yeah, she's kind of crazy, but she has a different way of looking at life that is, it's great. She is sarcastic and funny and a gifted writer, and she's someone who just keeps trying to live her life the best way she knows how, and it has given me, I don't know, hope. I hate to put it like that. It's not like I didn't have hope before, but she has given me something different, a different way to look at things that to me maybe aren't as dark as sometimes I think. You know, we talked about shadow work recently in our community, and some of that is very dark and dismal and scary, and it's hard to face that sometimes, that dark side of you. And this book has made it so I can look at that dark side and think, you know what, that's not the end, though. That dark side doesn't have to, I don't have to allow that dark side to take over. So if you or someone you love has some form of mental illness, can I just highly, highly, highly recommend this book. If it's you, then it gives you a different perspective, and if it's someone you love, it also gives you a different perspective of, you know, maybe what they deal with or how their brain works a little differently. I just adore her. I just adore her. And since we have 5 minutes left before it's a half an hour, let me just try to find a very quick something to read from this book that will show you a little bit of who she is. I don't know what I did with my glasses now. I have this big sticky thing on it. Oh, it's right in the middle of my glasses. I don't know if I'll be able to get it off. Ew. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. So first of all, look, this is a picture of the actual raccoon that she texted me. All right, let me just read that part. Okay, Rory, the dead raccoon, stood up on his hind legs, his arms outstretched in glee. He looked like he was the most excited member of your surprise party, or like a Time Lord in the process of regenerating. His baffingly enormous smile caused people to giggle, usually nervously and somewhat involuntarily, whenever I presented him. Or sometimes they'd scream and back away. I guess it depends on if you're expecting an unnaturally cheerful dead raccoon to pop out at you. Victor, which is her husband, didn't entirely understand my love for Rory, but he couldn't disagree that Rory was probably the best raccoon corpse that anyone had ever loved. Rory's tiny arms perpetually reached out as if to say, "Oh my God, you are my favorite person ever. Please let me chew your face off with my love." Whenever I'd accomplished a particularly impossible goal, like remembering to refill my ADD meds, even though I have ADD and was out of ADD meds, Rory was always there, eternally offering a supportive high five because he understood the value of celebrating the small victories. Victor might have refused to congratulate me on the fact that I hadn't fallen down a well that week, but that dead raccoon always had my back, and very few people can say that. It's just nice to have unconditional encouragement and praise, I explained to him. Some people get all stingy with their high fives, but Rory never leaves me hanging. So that is a very tiny, teeny tiny piece, but I really recommend this woman, Jenny Lawson, and any of her books, but especially this one. I have not read the first one, although I hear it is equally funny. The other one that I showed you that I got here, this was recommended by her as something to focus on that is not your depression when you're in the midst of it. So just a little weird, let's get weird together, you know. It's just something else to focus on. So it's a little coloring book kind of. All of those books I got from Thriftbooks. And I totally forgot that I had my other stuff to show you. So I will have to do them in another video. I guess I'll have 2 videos I'm uploading tonight. Yay! But the other one will be shorter, I think. Anyway, Thriftbooks is amazing to me. I got all of them from Thriftbooks. I believe I paid for everything I just showed you about $30. So I just keep looking. I have a million things on my wish list there, and I could buy $100 a week and never run out of books to get. So I highly recommend them. Blessings, guys. I hope your weekend is going well, and I will definitely have videos tomorrow too. Blessings.